Hi, I'm Brooke, and today I'm happy to say I have Diane here, who's going to talk to us about how her carnivore diet has really helped her with lots of conditions. Hi, Diane, how are you?
Hi, I'm really good. How are you doing?
Good, and I want to thank you again for coming on, taking the time and sharing with us what it's been like for you with carnivore. And so let's just get started. How has it been?
It's been amazing. This has been a long journey for me, and I just want to thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long journey. I basically I started about 4 years ago, but I was doing kind of a combination of keto and carnivore. And what I found was I was experiencing some healing, but it wasn't as much as I wanted to see because I had so many health issues that I was dealing with that I decided about a year ago, for the better part of this year, that I needed to go more strict with my diet in order to see more healing results.
What was that keto diet for you? What were you eating? I mean, keto is such a broad thing. What was your keto diet?
Right. So in the beginning, like a lot of people do, I started off with dirty keto. And then I realized that that just wasn't working for me. I wasn't adapting. I was still really not having control over my weight. I was going up and down in weight. And I think it's because I was eating all the typical keto treats. And what I realized later on is I have a lot of food intolerances. And I didn't realize how many I had until I went keto and realized this is not, I'm starting to have other symptoms. I'm healing over here in this area, but now I'm having symptoms over in this area. So I was jumping back and forth. I was doing dirty keto, and then I tried carnivore. I was kind of jumping between the two, but that was just not working for me. So I realized there had to be a better way. And it was a lot of trial and error with my health of trying to find what worked and what didn't because I had so many health issues. So it took me a while to get there. It took me 3 years of really trying to figure out what was going to work for my body. And that was when I decided I need to go strict. I need to basically do carnivore as a way to eliminate some of these problematic foods. And that's what I had to do.
It really is a great elimination diet. It's
Right.
so simple, and then you can kind of narrow down. So when you were eating keto and you're experimenting with that, and I know it's ketos can be a lot of fun actually with all that experimentation.
Sure.
Did you become a meat-based keto diet? Was your diet meat-based, or did
Yeah.
it become meat-based?
Yes, it was meat based. I did do plants, but not too many. But then I would have all those keto treats, and that just doesn't work for a lot of people. And it certainly didn't work for me, all the nuts and seeds, and that is just no good for my body. I would break out like crazy and then wonder why, I wasn't seeing results.
It almost makes things worse. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, on some ways it's better, and then other things it's almost worse because you're eating all kinds of so many more nuts with nut flours and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And so when you eliminated it and just ate meat, what were some of the things that you noticed that changed for you?
Right away, I just noticed that I started to feel better almost immediately. And I started to feel like I had more control over food because I basically came from a lifelong problem with binge eating. And for the first time in my life, over the last year or so, I noticed what a tremendous change that was for me in my body, where I didn't feel hungry anymore. I felt satiated. I eat higher on the higher fat scale for my hormones. And I felt balanced, more balanced in mood and so many things. And right away, I just saw so many symptoms fall away that weren't going away when I ate keto. Because I believe that I even react to some plants as well. So I had to really get rid of a lot of those as well, all of them. and really it's just so amazing, the healing, for the first time feeling balanced in my life, in mood, in my body, pain. I had all over body pain, joint pain, severe migraines to the point where it was debilitating and I couldn't get out of bed. And those went away almost immediately. I had to really keep my electrolytes in check as well. I'm one of those people that need the salt and need different things to keep in balance as well. So I really had to get into a really daily routine of really taking care of myself, taking care of my stress, making sure I'm doing meal preps, making sure I'm taking my electrolytes, making sure I'm drinking enough water. And I couldn't really wave too far from these things. Making sure my sleep was in check. So in a holistic way, really making sure I got to bed early and getting up early so that I could continue with balancing the hormones. I found that everything kind of went together. It wasn't just diet alone in order for me to heal. It was really, I had to be so regimented and in all these things.
So it sounds like you sort of stripped away all the extraneous stuff. It got really simple. What were you eating at the most simple level?
At the most simple level, mainly beef, salt, and organ meats. I started introducing organ meats last summer, and that was a game changer for me because one of the last things that I was struggling with was my energy levels, and I really wanted to see an improvement in that. So now, because of eating the organ meats and getting all that dense nutrition in, my energy soared through the roof, and I felt like I did in my 20s. I kid you not. And it was almost overnight. Within the first week, I noticed a difference in how I felt.
Liver really is the superfood. It's
yeah.
Superfood.
Mm-hmm.
All those B vitamins. I mean, it's pretty immediate for me too when I eat liver.
Right. Yeah.
So then you were eating beef and salt and organ meats, probably liver. And what were some of your other favorite?
I tried kidney and I didn't like that. Beef heart. I like beef heart. And I haven't really experimented with too many. I live in an area here in Canada where it's hard to source some of these things, but I'm going to keep looking and try other organ meats as well. I do order from Ancestral, and I take some of their supplements with the desiccated beef liver and different ones that they have to support my immune system and things. So I've found those helpful as well.
Yeah, they're a great company. Really,
Yes.
he has great customer service, I think.
Right.
And so you included organs, especially, I mean, even if you were just going to eat one organ, liver kind of is the king, I think, of that. Mm-hmm. And so then you were still eating simple ruminants, simple beef, red meat.
Right.
And is that what you're doing now?
Yes, that's what I'm doing now. I might now have the odd other kind of meat like chicken once in a while, but I don't find it being superior compared to beef or the organs. So I'll eat chicken every now and again, sometimes pork, but that's rare because I found, depending where I get it, I have to be really careful because of histamines for me. So I can't eat a whole lot of that either. So sometimes it's just for variety, but for the most part, it's mainly the beef. And I do love lamb and deer and stuff like that. So ruminant animals are really important to me. I love all those. So
when you say histamine, what response is your body? What's going on for your body when you have a histamine response? What does that look like for you?
Right. So I would either break out. I might even feel like my throat is closing a little bit, sort of like how you feel when you swallow something and it doesn't seem to want to go down. So my digestion becomes affected. My skin will break out, and then I'll start waking up around 3 a.m. and not be able to go back to sleep because the histamine's rising in the middle of the night, and I know I've had something that I shouldn't have. Or maybe it wasn't a properly sourced source of meat, and the hormones and different things in grocery store meat affect me. So I have to be careful where I get things from.
Does it affect your intestines? When you have a histamine response, are your bowels affected?
Yeah.
as well?
I could end up either just running to the bathroom or just constipated. It can go one way or another.
And have you tried kidneys for that? Have you tried the DAO for your histamine response?
Actually, not DAO specific, but there was another ancestral one that has DAO in it. And I believe it might have been the colostrum that I'm taking, and there's DAO in it. So I'm trying to take that to see if that'll help as well.
So I want to ask you, what were your symptoms? What were your main health issues like before getting on the carnivore diet or even carnivore keto diet? What were you going for?
Right. The list is long, but I can list them.
Yeah, go for it.
So I was definitely dealing with food intolerances. I was dealing with basically autoimmune issues, rosacea, cystic acne, um, big time hormone imbalance, depression, anxiety. At one point, they didn't even know what was wrong with me. It was so bad. Couldn't get out of bed because of joint pain, all over body pain, the migraines, pain in my head that I couldn't even describe, neck problems, what else? Thyroid issues, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, imbalanced blood sugars. I had numbers that were pre-diabetic. It was getting so scary that I just really had to do something. Or I felt like, this might sound dramatic, I honestly felt like I was going to die. It was getting that scary. And I had to force myself to get out of bed every morning and just do something with my day. I had to force myself out of bed no matter how I felt. And it was not a good feeling to
And
feel.
what were you eating then? What was your diet?
So beforehand, my diet, before keto and going fully carnivore, my diet was all over the place. I grew up, we didn't have a whole lot of money. So of course, the thing is growing up is what's the easiest thing to feed your children is carbohydrates because it's a cheap filler, right? So I grew up basically with a very carb heavy diet and some meat, the typical meat, potatoes, gravy kind of diet. And, hardly any vegetables or fruit. I mean, yeah, we had them, but, it was few and far between. It was very meat, potato, gravy.
That might end up being actually a blessing, a simple meat and potatoes diet.
But we also had tons of bread too. So, and I believe gluten is an issue for me. So that led me to a life of just, it set me up for a life, not that I'm trying to place any blame anywhere, but that's just the way it was. And it set me up for a lifetime of terrible eating, being heavily addicted to carbs and sugar, binge eating from a very young age. And then I went from there. I started my first diet at age of 16. And for the next 30 years of my life or close to it, I was on a constant diet. But I did the typical mainstream advice of eating low fat and, cottage cheese and fish and all these things, and and low calorie, and that set me up for even more hormone problems. And I ended up at one point losing my gallbladder, so that was not good. So now I'm just doing my very best to eat clean and try to reverse some of these things. So my diet was garbage. There's no other way to describe it, just garbage.
It's so funny because when carnivores say eat clean, we mean eat simple animal foods, and it's so funny because when you look back, eating clean for a long time meant green smoothies and sprouts and not anything but animals.
Right.
And so it's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, and that sounded like me. I did a lot of smoothies and eat the fiber and all these things, worked out endlessly at the gym, and I was on a constant diet and fluctuating in my weight my whole life. It was not good at all. For the first time in my life now, I feel like just so much more in control of things. And, for the first time in the last year, my weight hasn't fluctuated. I've stayed pretty much the same, but my body composition has changed over time. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing how calm you can feel and not hangry. And maybe not have eaten all day or something.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, I'll make me, when I get back home, I can make a steak or something.
Right. I think I spent my whole life hangry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until now.
What were some of the main health conditions that you've been able to solve?
Right. Well, definitely the rosacea and all the skin issues have cleared up. And definitely I'm more in hormonal balance now. I don't have any more thyroid symptoms anymore, the hair falling out and things like that. I thought I was kicked into menopause at one point because I was having hot flashes and night sweats. Well, they're all gone. The migraines are gone. The depression and anxiety is good. Like there's no signs of that. It's just amazing to have my life back and feel like I have my life back and have more abundant life now, where I can get up in the morning, face the world and have energy to do it and have something left for my family. where before it wasn't like that at all.
So what's your regular meals during the day? What's your
Regular meals? Well, I don't fast. For myself, I didn't find it didn't work for me. It actually just did more harm to my hormones. I wasn't in a healthy enough place to be fasting for me. And, other people can, and that I think that's great if they can. So a typical day for me I get up in the morning, if I'm hungry, I eat. If I don't, I wait a little bit. Usually I'm having 2 or 3 meals and I eat until I'm satisfied. I don't track macros. I used to in the beginning, but I don't feel I need to. And I just rely more heavily on fat. I do have to be a little careful just because I don't have gallbladder. So I do take ox bile and some different things to support that. And I just might have a meal of, say, a steak meal. Steak, or I might have lamb, or I might have ground beef. And I always include liver. That might be in the morning. I'll have an ounce or 2 of liver every day. And that's basically how I eat. And I drink my water and I take my electrolytes and be happy.
It's so simple. So
it
easy.
is simple. I don't like measuring it. For me, it always led to disordered eating in the past. So I don't measure, I don't weigh, I don't track. I just eat and enjoy it. And
do you take that ox bile with each meal, or just every day, or once in the morning, or how do you do that?
In the beginning, I took ox bile with every meal. I find I don't need it as much now. I think things are really adapting. My biliary system seems to be adapting. That took a while for that to adapt.
And when you said higher fat, are you just choosing higher fatty meats, or are you adding suet, or are you adding fats to your meal, or butter? Or?
Right. I eat the fattier cuts of meat. I just find them tastier anyway. I don't like low fat anything. I've been there, done that for years.
Yeah.
Chicken breast and all those things. But and I do, sometimes I add fat to my meat. Sometimes I don't. It just depends the mood I'm in and things like that. But I do like to add butter. I'll add the fat drippings. I've tried suet. I don't particularly like it, but I like I said, it's hard to source some of these things around here. So I'm going to keep trying to find some. But yeah.
And so do you eat eggs as well?
Eggs I still react to. So I can't do eggs. I'm still a bit lactose, so I have to be really careful on that. I keep it pretty simple. I've seen a lot of podcasts of Michaela Peterson, how there's so much she can't eat, and I feel kind of like that. So I do also do meat broth for potassium, and I find that's really good for my gut health.
Instead of bone broth?
Meat broth, actually.
Right, instead of bone broth?
Instead of bone broth, only because I found the bone broth I would react to, the histamines.
Yeah.
So I do the meat broth instead, and I simmer low-fat beef, and then drink the broth and add butter to that and salt and drink that. And I find that's great for my gut health.
And how long do you simmer that beef broth for?
I simmer it at least an hour, maybe to 2 hours. It depends. And then usually I refrigerate it right away. I don't let it sit just so histamines won't build up on the meat broth. But
okay,
anyway.
So you cut up maybe half a pound or less of some meat in a pot of water and simmer?
Yeah, half a pound, maybe a pound. And I do eat the meat. I might shred it and use it for something else, and then add fat to it I don't waste the beef, but I'll add lots of fat to it and eat it.
Okay. I think that beef broths really do help people with histamine responses.
Right. I've had such a relief of almost all my symptoms, but something that I'm still working on is my gut health. That's one thing, is I'm still working on that because I can see that I still react to things. So some people feel that organs sort of inflame give them a histamine response. Did you ever feel that at the beginning? I think in the beginning I might have had a bit of a response where it's like, geez, I feel kind of strange, but I kept eating it. It wasn't so bad that I felt I shouldn't eat it, but I did keep eating it. And then over time I seemed to adjust to eating the liver and whatnot.
And do you have to avoid aged meats or cured meats for histamine?
Yes.
you try to keep it fresh meat.
Yes, I have to do that, at least for now.
And leftovers, do leftovers cause a reaction as well, like leftover meat?
I think it depends how long it's been in the fridge. I try to use up everything right away, but yes, I think I do have a bit of a problem with that as well.
Okay, good.
So,
Good to know.
yeah.
I mean, I know that it's sort of a cycle for people that they're feeling better with carnivore. Some people who have histamine responses and they're not quite sure, the nuances of that. I think it's a nuanced walk. So
Yes,
sounds like you're getting a lot of really healing benefits from.
I am. It just feels amazing to have my life back and just, I did it for so many reasons and, for myself, but also for my family as well.
Is your family sharing the diet with you?
No, they don't, but that doesn't seem to affect me. I just eat what I eat. And I might just do a few sides for my husband or whoever's here. And it works well.
But it sounds like the family's diet is still pretty meaty or meat-based or.
Oh yeah, like my husband will eat other things, but he's very heavily meat-based with me. And my daughter also has autoimmune issues. So does my mother. And I have my mother on a fairly carnivore way of eating. She does include a few plants that she seems to tolerate. And my daughter, like I said, she has autoimmune celiac actually. So she follows more of a paleo approach and it seems to work for her.
Great.
But she'll eat heavy meat-based as well.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, meat really heals.
Mm-hmm.
Red meat, that sounds great. Do you choose coffee?
I do. And my next plan is to rid myself of the coffee. I've been working on that for a few months. I've gone periods without it, and then I've gone back to it. So now, starting in the new year, my big goal is getting rid of the coffee completely and seeing if there's any further benefits from that. And I believe there will be. And I also want to try cold exposure therapy.
Aha. So you're getting into a cold bath or cold shower or cold snow.
Right. Yeah. So
is it snowing where you are now?
Pardon?
Does it snow where you are in Canada now?
Oh yes. We don't have too much right now, but it will eventually. We will get dumped on.
So I guess you could just go out in the snow.
Yeah. Yeah. Embrace the seasons.
Embrace the seasons.
Right.
Especially because you can warm up again afterwards if necessary. Well, it sounds really good. It sounds like you've really found your way.
Absolutely. I'm just so excited for this lifestyle and I want to help others as much as I can. I am actually a holistic health coach and personal trainer and that it was actually following this lifestyle that led me to change my career and start trying to help people with this lifestyle as well. So I saw such profound effects that it's like, I am going to start helping people. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So
it really is. It's mind blowing because it's how did it take me so long to discover my species appropriate diet?
I know exactly. I must have been living under a rock.
Well, I think we've all been hoodwinked.
Yes.
So
most definitely.
Yeah. Well, do you have any little piece of advice you'd give to someone who's considering the carnivore diet?
I would say go for it. I don't believe there is not one person in this world that couldn't benefit from eating a carnivore way. Especially us women with all the hormones. Our hormones are so sensitive that I believe it can really bring things back into balance. It can just help you further heal. I would say go for it, especially if you're living with lifelong problems like diabetes or, autoimmune. I believe that meat heals, and especially organ meats too, in combination. And it's just such a life-changing thing. I would tell people just go for it and just rip the Band-Aid off and just jump right in. There's no sense going slow with it and starting with keto. That doesn't work for well, I shouldn't say most. It doesn't work for everybody. So
yeah.
Plants
are not the virtuous things that we always thought they were.
No, we don't require them to live an abundant life. That's for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Diane. That's great advice. Thank you again for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited all week to come on here, and I appreciate the MeatRx community. It's a wonderful community, and I've gained a lot from it, just reading other people's testimonies and being a part of it. And just I've learned so much, and I appreciate the MeatRx community, and just it helps you feel like you're not alone in it, because this is certainly not a mainstream way of eating, but it certainly is life-giving.
Thank you. Yeah, one of those things Shawn always says, something about supplement support is one of the best things for carnivore diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a great community.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being in it, Diane.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.